This is a NIDA podcast. Join us as we explore the dynamic world of NIDA, where passion meets craft, and listen as we share stories from our NIDA community, the artists shaping the future of Australian performance.
Hey everyone, this is a wonderful re-meeting of the four of us who've just come back from the International Festival of Theatre Schools in Kerala, India. So the festival was a 6-day event, held at the School of Drama and Fine Arts at Calicut University in Thrissur in Kerala. I was originally invited by one of our ex-key staff members, Dr Peter Cook, who was on the organising committee. NIDA's got a really long history of creative engagement and exchange with India. We've had several staff members over the years who've done staff exchanges at the National Drama School in Delhi. So this was an extension of that. The festival topic was theatre and ethics, which laid the ground for some really interesting conversations between teachers and academics and students throughout the week. But what I think was unique about the week was the focus on students and student work. The academic conversations were kind of at the side. So I think that the deep engagement of the students made the festival for me so unique and wonderful. All in all, there was about, I'd say, on total about 300 students there from all across South Asia, but also there were students there from the US, from the UK, students and academics, US, UK, Israel, Poland, Finland, Japan, and a number of other countries. So it made for an incredibly rich cultural exchange. So that is just an overview. We'll get into more detail about that later on. But I just want to begin this debriefing session just by having each of you talk about what you've been up to professionally since graduating from NIDA in the last couple of years. So I'll start with Pratha, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Since graduating NIDA, I've been doing a mix of things. I've been working a lot assistant directing at different shows with different companies. I assistant directed the first year out, I assistant directed at STC Constellations by Nick Payne, directed by Ian Michael. I got the chance to work on my own show last year, 2024, for Belvoir 25A. And that was a great experience to continue my devising a new work practice. It was called Aurat Raj, which means the rule of the woman. And it was a work about the invisible labor of women and how women are kind of at the center of upholding culture and what that does to our relationship generationally. And that was that was a passion project. So it was amazing to get to build that last year and explore that last year. And yeah, I've just been doing a bunch of projects, a lot of assistant directing or dramaturging, or when I'm not actually working on the artistic practice, I do a bunch of teaching.
Amazing.
Doing drama workshops. Yeah.
Great. Chinmaya, do you want to briefly talk about, so Chinmaya was an international student at NIDA and returned to India on graduating, finishing the course, and has been working pretty consistently since then.
Yes, since I came back from NIDA, I first took my graduation show to NIDA. So my graduation show was called Prem Patra, which was about love. So I got a chance to take it back to my home, which is great. After coming from NIDA, I have been regularly working as a drama teacher in a college. So I teach a diploma course and advanced diploma course in a college. So that is fun because I've always been passionate about education and working with kids. I've also worked with kids. I've created some plays. So there's a big summer workshop in Jaipur where we work with like 300 kids and create a new show. So I've been doing that. And then just very, very recently, I've created a new show that was called Tales of Shringu the Goat, which is again a show for kids and talks about career choices and confusion and how confusion is put into negative light and how at least I don't know about internationally, but India as a society pushes you to get out of that confusion and find your way. But it is not necessary to do that. So the show is about that. The show was also a musical. So this was my first time creating a musical, working with professional musicians and working with a cast of 25 people.
Great.
Yes, so I've been doing that.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Temuulan, coming to us from Mongolia. Tem was also an international student in the directing course.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Su. Well, after graduating NIDA, I came back to Mongolia to start my own little studio that makes music videos, and it's going pretty successful. And we have been writing and producing and directing music videos with Mongolian artists and a little bit of some from like Inner Mongolia, and we have been doing television commercials and such. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So I just wanted to talk about briefly, each of you, what your experience was of arriving at the conference. I mean, was it what you thought it was going to be? What were your thoughts when I reached out to you and said, hey, do you want to come and do this thing? Tam, do you want to start? Because you came the furthest.
Yeah, well, initially I didn't know what to expect because it was almost like years since I graduated, and it was very exciting to hear back from NIDA and Dr. Su say, come to India to join a conference and meet a lot of people from all around the world. And yeah, it was exciting. And I arrived to India first on well, I was the first to come to India. It was the uh, like yeah, I was the first. I don't remember the exact date. So like I came on my own. It was a whole new country, a whole new continent for me. So yeah, it was very exciting, and it was exciting experience to share my theater knowledge and um, my story with theater.
And there was quite a few people at the conference, Temuulan, who were quite excited to meet somebody from Mongolia as well.
Yeah, and yeah, I was excited to make contacts with a lot of people like all around the world, and also there was some pedagogues who also wanted to get uh, to know about Mongolian theater and filmmaking. So yeah, it was exciting opportunity for me to meet great people.
Pratha?
It was, yeah, I think I was kind of in the same boat as Tam. I didn't really know what to expect, but I was like, I grew up in North India, but I didn't, I had never been to South India, and obviously culture in India is so diverse. So you can kind of go anywhere and you learn something new and different and beautiful. So I think that's kind of what the experience of being at IFTS was. It was very new, but familiar at the same time, and like, yeah, and exciting. And it was really great to kind of meet people who lived in the same country as you, but also like we we had such different lived experiences, and that was really like just opening. It was an opening, and that was great. Like it was a very cool experience.
Terrific. Terrific. And Chinmaya, you're also from more northern India, aren't you?
Yes, so I'm from Jaipur, so which is northwestern India. So my expectation was when I got the invite, I was like, on the 28th, I'm finishing a show, and on the 2nd, I need to be in Kerala. And I thought, oh, okay, it's going to be like a vacation because the schedule wasn't out until we reached there. So I thought, okay, maybe one or two talks a day, some workshops, and that's gonna be it. But it wasn't. When we got there, it was like from 7 in the morning till 10 in the night, which is, I mean, I don't know what it is, but we were just like pushed into it. And I mean, at least for me, it was really inspiring to be in a space where there are like 400, 500 people
Yeah.
all wanting to talk about art and all wanting to
Mm.
improve their own art in some kind of way. So yes, and also get to meet so many nice people, so many experienced people who have been working in the
Yeah.
industry for such a long time. So it was really good.
Fantastic. Um, the the theme of the conference was theatre and ethics, and it certainly in the teachers meet. So the conference is organised around student meets, teacher meets, student performances, conference presentations, and what was called a parliament of ideas, where there was like keynote speakers. And it was interesting certainly in the teachers meet, we had some really juicy conversations about theatre and ethics. Of course, the ethics of intercultural collaboration came up. We talked a lot about the ethics of AI and technology. And then another question that came up, kind of interesting, was can you make good art if you're not a good person? So that was a kind of really sort of gristly conversation around separating the artist from the art, and one which is, circulating currently and circulates very regularly in the public discourse. So that was interesting. I'm interested in specifically in terms of that idea of theatre and ethics, whether you had any kind of insights or takeaways or interesting observations from the conference.
One of the talks that I think I talked about this with you, Sue, but one of the talks that I genuinely felt like was life-changing in a way to have been brought in a space like that conference where so many different minds are meeting was a talk by Sasidharan, and he's the director of ITI. And he talked a lot about, yeah, this intersection of theatre and ethics and also like history and who gets to tell history and theatre being a form or medium of as it is of storytelling, of truth telling, and then history making. And this idea, I think he opened his speech by saying that theatre, whether you, and the point wasn't for him to say that let's all make political art. That was not the point that he was making, but he was saying that theatre is a form of art making that um, laughs in the face, like it's the slaves who laugh in the face of the master. And he talked about like how culture is in a sense fiction, and it's the beliefs that a group of people decide that they're going to follow, but there's no objectivity or truth or lies to it, but it's the lies that we decide to believe. Um and it's fiction. It's necessary fiction, but it is fiction. And some of those ideas, like you said, that whether good people or whether what is needed to be a good artist is being a good person is a belief that he strongly believed. And it felt really important and beautiful to have that. And I know it's a gritty conversation, but I actually think he got to the core of it in not an easy way, but in a simple way of the relationship that you have in a theater with the audience and the theater that is being performed is a delicate relationship, and it's a relationship of trust. And at the revelation of someone breaking that trust, then how can you believe that that artist is making good art? And I found that really relevant to today's context where we have so much and so much silencing that is going on about truth telling. And I mean, even a few days ago, what happened with Creative Australia, I think there is this real sense of who gets to tell theatre and why do we silence theatre? It kind of comes down to theatre and ethics in a way.
True.
And I found that talk specifically, I think there were other talks as well, but I genuinely thought that I thought about and think about it quite regularly since watching it, especially in the context of Sydney. Yeah.
Chinmaya, Tem, do you have a response or another insight?
I think firstly, it is very interesting and brave of them to keep a festival in India whose topic is ethics and ethics in art. Because India, I mean, the ethics in India for theatre is very, very different than anywhere, at least in Australia. I have only the experience of being in Australia. Um, because I think the artists who are doing theatre in India are the people who really want to do who really want to say something and are struggling to keep their livelihood or are struggling to make good money through theatre. So I think ethics takes the last position in whatever they want to do because it's just so passionate and so raw, whatever they're doing. Um, I think one of the things I took away from the workshop is, I mean, look, we were getting up at 6 in the morning, being put into buses, taken, driven for 30 minutes,
Mm.
and then walking in excessive heat for 10 hours, and then getting back, driving 30 minutes again, sleeping at 11 or 12, and then waking up at 6 again. I think if this was in Australia, someone would have definitely questioned about what the ethics is or how are they treating the people or is it comfortable for people. But no one questioned it here. Or even if they questioned it, they were okay with it or they were willing to take all these things with them. So I think a big takeaway for me is when your motive of doing the thing is good, when genuinely what you're
Mm.
doing, if you're doing it, if you're coming from a pure perspective or a pure place where I just want to share my art or I just want to talk about these things which are really important and might be important to these people too, then I think the ethics of the thing, of the show, of the workshop, of the festival will be all right as soon as you're coming from a pure place. I think that was a big takeaway for me.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah, the topic reminded me of a quote said by a father of Mongolian theater. If I translate it, it would be, in order to do the art, you have to become human first. Um,
Mm.
so for me, the understanding of good and bad like changes each second on this earth. So I think the theater itself is about questioning what's good and what's bad and what do we want to follow. So I think it was really relevant for me to be a part of a conversation that's talking about theater and being a good person and bad person and deciding what is good and bad in the theater. So yeah, it was very fruitful conversations for me, and I wasn't expecting it to last for 7 days, but the question was kept on going and going. So I was just
Mm.
thinking to myself that yeah, obviously it's gonna go on forever because it's a question that we have been asking for centuries.
Mm.
So yeah.
Definitely. And on the last day, there was a number of closing speeches, which kind of tried to summarize and pick up on that theme. So they will be published in the next few months in a book. So you will get, no doubt, a copy of that from the conference organisers. The other thing I just want to mention, it was a very packed schedule, certainly for everybody involved. One of the days, the entire conference, like 300 people, were put into buses and we went to Kalamandalam, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is the training centre, which is about, I think, 45 minutes away, an hour away, which is the training centre for Kathakali dancers and musicians. Students are picked up at age 12 and they stay in the centre until they're 22 and learn the most precise movements and discipline and practice around Kathakali and associated dance and movement and musical traditions. So that was and that was pretty exhausting. I think we were there for 14 hours all up, watching, engaging, talking, and observing classes. So that was for me a complete. I didn't know anything about Kathakali before that, and I felt after that day not only did I have a kind of academic understanding of it, but a really strong embodied sense of it. Having watched this just precise teaching methods in tiny little groups of 6 to 10, over the rigor of it was quite extraordinary. One of the most thrilling experiences I had was on the night of the first day. The students of the School of Drama and Fine Arts had just created a collaboration with a South African visiting director, and they did this amazing site-specific work all through the campus, which broke just about every WH&S rule available, with bombs and fireworks and setting things, running at the audience with a weapon. It was pretty extraordinary. But the energy and the love and the rigor with which that was produced was quite incredible. So I think for that day, that was like a shock to my system. After that, I just went with it, but it was truly exhausting. Truly exhausting. So my next question is about the connections you made. So you've all talked about kind of meeting people and having great conversations. Can you talk about maybe a couple of really interesting people that you met or conversations you had? Because that was one of the key aims of the festival, was to create those connections and be generative and have them kind of manifest other things. So Chinmaya, do you want to start?
So for me, so we were all given one workshop to attend for the 7 days in the festival. And I was given the workshop whose topic was art in the time of war. And me personally, I always run away from these things because I don't want to be talking about serious things, and I don't want to be. I'm a bit scared about these things, so I always run away. So I wasn't very happy or very excited to be attending this workshop. But when I got into the workshop the very first day, I think my whole idea of the workshop changed, because it was very different than what I was thinking it would be, because it was talking more about conflict than one particular war. And we all face conflict in our daily life, whether it is waking up at 8 o'clock when I've been with my at my friend's wedding the whole night for this meeting. So I mean, we face conflict every minute. So I think meeting Emanuela and Ahmed was very inspiring for me. They were both the facilitators who were doing my workshop, who were taking my workshop, or conducting my workshop. And it also like inspired me to try new things. So we're talking about performance art a lot, and we created very small bits of performance art, uh, conflict being the center of them. And I've always been interested in other art than theater, and now I'm creating a performance art in one day in a theater festival. So I mean, it was that powerful that it motivated me to do something, and now I'm doing it on the 28th, 21st, and 22nd. So I mean, meeting them was really nice, because it's always nice to meet people who have a good energy and who push you to create things. And then there was meeting other students, which was also really good, because I think it is very important for any artist, to have a community around them of people who you want to work with and who have the same ideas as you do, or even the different ideas, but just want to work and create art. So, I mean, the people I was sharing my room with. So, for the first 4 days, I was in a room with two other people. So, the people I was sharing my room with, I became really good friends with them. We shared a lot of things, talked about a lot of topics that I generally don't get to in my daily life because I'm surrounded by a lot of people who are not connected to art directly. That was really good. And I'm still talking to some people from the School of Drama because
Okay.
they want to know my experience and they want to know how theater is done in North India. So it is also really good to be sharing culture. Even being in India, it is still good to be sharing culture,
Mm.
even north, south, east, west. So yeah, for me, that was.
Amazing.
Everything Chinmay said was great. Honestly, I just want to echo the thing he said about community. And I think, um, at least my experience in theatre scene here in Sydney, I think sometimes we lack this community meeting and gathering, and I really crave it. Like it literally is like, um, and community gathering that is not us all crying about the cost of living crisis. Like that is actually a celebration. Um, because I think those are the moments that actually keep you going. Like as much as it is important to talk about those things, and it is really, I think at sometimes when we don't have community to reach out to forget about all of it and really reconnect, like all of us, to why we make theatre, why are we doing this, what is our love for it, what is our pull for it, and all that stuff. Um, I think I found that a lot more uh, openly in the students at School of Drama, and it was the workshops, like they were so um I was put in an acting workshop, and I, like Chinmay, I was like, I'm not excited for this, I'm not an actor. Like I don't know how it's gonna go. And Sachiko was amazing, but it was more like about how she brought all the people together, and we got to understand why we make art and how we make art differently or similarly to each other. And then also just like to sit around and sing songs and like dance together, or like talk about our like past love stories, whatever it was. Like it was just like a great way to just be able to sit in the knowing, getting to know about your art making, but also to like genuinely form a sense of community and celebration and gathering, um, that I really think I don't get to experience anymore here. So I loved it. And I am still in touch with a lot of them. Like Chinmay said, like so many people from School of Drama reached out and they were like, how do you do things? I want to see your show. Or like after we did the presentation, everyone wanted to um, see the archival clip, which was so generous. I had no idea that people would actually want to see how, yeah, I don't know. It was just very generous and I loved it.
Fantastic. Tem, what workshop did you do?
Oh, well, I was in expressive acting one first, which was fantastic. And I also wanted to be in the lighting as well. So I told it to Gidea, who was organizing all that. And she told me I can be in either of them. So on the first two workshops, I did acting. And the second one, I did lighting, which create a lot of opportunities to me to talk to many people. But with or without workshop, I was talking to everybody anyways, because the vibe of the festival was, if there's no workshop or no presentations, you can just go around the campus, talk to everybody. So that's what I was doing. So I think I talked to more than 300 people. So yeah, it was fantastic. And we talked about many, many different things. And the great thing about students of School of Drama is like once you start a topic on theater or filmmaking, they would always be like, tell me more, let's talk about it, let's make it work. Yeah, and there has been even suggestions about like bringing their show to Mongolia, so which is very exciting for me. And ran into few filmmakers who are also interested in working, like starting an international collaboration. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Amazing, amazing. I think you regularly see things out and about where you are reminded why you love theatre, or I am relatively regularly. But I think the net effect of that festival was that I was reminded why I love working in education. I think the focus on education was really a great surprise to me. I think there was I had so many conversations about teaching and learning, both with students and with other colleagues, that it was completely thrilling. I feel very nourished by all the conversations I had and by the connections I made. So there's, again, I think everyone who was involved was sort of infected by that sort of joy and generative spirit of the conference. And I also want to mention, the students themselves of School of Drama did virtually everything for the conference, from picking us up from the airport right through to, making the tags that we wore around our necks, all with sustainability in mind, all on very minimal budgets. So yeah, it was pretty extraordinary. And the team who organised the entire conference was about 6 people. So really amazing. Fantastic. Okay, I think we might have to wrap it up there. So thank you all so much. And hopefully the relationship with the School of Drama and Fine Arts will continue. And I know that the festival will be happening every year from now on. They've got funding for at least the next couple of years. And I hope to see you all there or somewhere else in the world. And again, thank you so much.